Alright, Department of Defense manufacturing process, standard qualification, fabrication, welding, and inspection of armor and non-armor steel weldments. Department of Defense distribution, statement approved, public release distribution limited, DOD, or Mill Standard 3040A. We're on page 62, halfway down. Radiation, 59262, radiation image system, ionized radiation method of the radiation test may be used to perform examination welds. Radiation image system used to perform examination procedure with the technique shall be in accordance with the AWS D11 and D11M radiation imaging system section. Radiographic testing acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria for the radio testing shall be in accordance with the acceptable criteria statistically loaded non-tubular connections section of AWS D11 and M. Digital radiographic acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria for the digital radio graphing shall be in accordance with the acceptable criteria statistically loaded non-tubular connections section AWS D11. Radiographic digital imaging reports. Radio testing digital radiograph reports shall contain a minimum requirement of 5916 shall be in accordance with the applicable standard technical bulletin. Radiographic film with a digital image stored with all radiographic films shall be stored in accordance with the ASTM E1254. Digital radiographic data files shall be in accordance with the ASTM E2699. Other non-destructive test methods. If non-destructive test methods does not cover the ANSI, ANST, CP189, or NAS, NAS 410, 410, which meet requirement of document with the alternate procedure, written procedure submitted with the procuring contractor upon request for review with the Apple government. Non-destructive test level 3 for the approval prior being used. Non-destructive testing manuals, technical technical manuals, TRICER for the technical manuals, and the non-destructive testing TM 1 1530-6623 and TM 1 1533-523 may be used with the replacement requirements of 592. But the technical manuals used with the acceptance criteria shall be agreed upon with the contract documents prior to performing non-destructive testing. If acceptable criteria is not provided with the contract, acceptable criteria standards shall be used with the non-destructive test method. If new technical manuals develop a non-destructive test method, written instruction military handbook 1222 shall be used as a guide. Non-destructive testing recording retention. All non-destructive testing examination records shall be retained in period performance of the contract. Minimum non-destructive testing records shall be in performance delivered with a procuring contractor officer upon request. Welding requirements, welding environment, shielding the protection of the wind and inclement weather shall be established by any welding shall be maintained with a completed weld and cooled within 50 degrees Fahrenheit over the ambient air temperature, environmental temperature, different degrees. Differentials greater than 100% along with the welding joint during welding and cyclic heating shall be avoided with the minimized stress differentials with completed weld wind. Maximum wind velocity in the near vicinity of the welding process should be no greater than 5 miles per hour. Air temperature in the near vicinity should be no lower than 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Precipitation welding shall not be performed when the material surfaces are exposed with any of the form of the participation of the materials or surfaces are wet. Base material temperature welding shall not be performed when the material temperature is below 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Material temperature is below 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Welding shall not be performed until one of the two listed practices should be followed. The materials preheated at minimum 125 degrees over the requirements of the table 13, whichever is greater or held with a temperature minimum of a half an hour per inch of thickness prior to the starting of the weld with the temperature shall be held below the maximum inner pass temperature permitted with the table 13. When the material thickness greater than 1.5 inches shall be applied with a measured on both sides of the material. Material shall be held with a temperature of the minimum of 60 degrees Fahrenheit for the period of at least 66 hours per inch of thickness, defined with the total thickness of the stack with the plates of thickness member of the weldment, welding procedure, specification, accessibility. In the end, he's responsible to ensure that during fabrication, all welding operators shall have the ready to access welding procedure specification, understand how to apply with the specified parameters of the welding performance, welding procedure specification to fabrication. And you shall have the established system that ensure the supervision of any of the welder operator prior to apply with the parameters to applicable with the welding performance specification. 2. Any fabrication done in accordance with the document system shall be verified by Etnies welding engineer quality assurance personnel with a typical frequency overall of the methodology with a defining Etnies of its suitable auditable fabrication operation quality procedures. Example that may include welding variables, check log with which would correlate verification measure of the welding parameters against welding operation for applicable welding procedure. Specifications at hand, frequency, percentage, workforce, check of the day per week of the times per day, shall be per bag, medic prudent. It fits Etnies' ability to have the pro reassurance of the welding procedure specification are and being adherent. These weld verification checks are defined and the QMS procedure shall be reviewed with the technical authority approved by a procuring contract officer. Position, welding position shall be in accordance with the qualified position of the applicable welding performance specification for proper descriptions. AWSA 3.0 M and 3.0. Preheat interpass. Preheat interpass temperatures monitoring required shall in accordance with the Table 13 and the welding performance specification. If the temperature conceived of the base material shall be repaired and replaced. C512 for repair limitation temperature limit shall be based on the thickness type of the materials and being well with the welding filler metal should be used. Welding joints with the group of the A8 filler materials are governed by filler materials. All other temperature limits are governed by the material governed by filler material. All other temperature limits are governed by whichever is more restrictive of the base material with the filler material with the wet temperatures are governed by the filler material. Limited shall apply with the members involved in the joint shall be based on the joint member with the most restrictive preheat interpass requirements when the temperature of the governed base material with the limit shall be based on the actual thickness type of the specified material with the welding procedures using preheat interpass temperatures other than those listed in the section shall require the technical authority approval unless otherwise specified herein. 51041 preheat interpass calculations. Examples governed by millimeter 1¼ inch thickness 1 mil DTL 12560 to 1 inch thick class 1 mil DTL 46100 member 2 using mil 100 S1 filler material table 13 preheat interpass temperature limits for Member 1, 125 degrees to 300 degrees maximum. Member 2, 125 degrees Fahrenheit to a maximum of 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Mil 100 S1, 125 maximum. And 300 most restrictive thickness of the member 1 requires filler material preheat interpass at 150 degrees to 300. Therefore, the preheat interpass temperature for the joint should be 150 degrees to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Example 2, governed by the base material 1 inch AESTM A36 member 1 to 1.5 inch AESTM A51-4 member 2 using mil 7018M filler material member 1 minimum 60 degrees Fahrenheit member 2 125 degrees Fahrenheit maximum 300 most restricted preheat interpass maximum Mil 7018M not listed, therefore preheating interpass temperature of member 1 shall be 6 degrees minimum and a member 2 150 to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Preheating interpass temperature measurement. Preheating temperature shall be checked prior with the welding described in the 510.421 figure 16 with the interpass temperature shall be checked prior to initiating another weld pass described in 510.422 figure 16. Surveillance of preheat interpass temperature shall be in accordance with the table 13. Temperatures at 125 degrees and above should be checked using temperature indicating crayons or other temperature measuring methods. Devices aiming at temperature is below the required 6 degrees Fahrenheit. See section 510.14. If there's evidence of moisture, material surface preheat shall be applied. If the area is dry, the reaches 125 degrees or greater, depending on requirements of table 13. All temperature measuring equipment shall be calibrated with a verified calibrated meter. C491. Temperature indicating crayons shall be applied as to not interfere with contaminating weld and contaminating elements such as lead, sulfur, zinc, cadmium, and mercury. Preheat temperature measurement. Preheat temperature should be measured within the surface base of the material side of the welding performed at 3 inches in all the directions of the area of the welding along the joint. See figure 16. Material thickness greater than 1.5 inches. Preheat should be applied measured on both sides of the material. Interpass temperature measurement. Interpass temperature should be measured on the surface base of the material side of the welding performed within 1 inch of the welded joint edge along with the joint within 3 inches. Start with the next weld pass or continuation welded to be for the weld that's not monetarily reinitiated. See figure 16. Heating shall be the uniformly soaking type. They apply preferably the means electrical heaters resistant induction or resistance or induction uniformly distributed on and around the area being welded. Spot heating is prohibited. Spaces wattage over the heater shall be such to ensure the entire welding area are maintained with the required temperature range. Oxy fuel torches heating with the use of appropriately sized rosebud tip should be used in conformance with the torch tip manufacturer's recommendations. Heat should be applied with any of the following suggested methods used individually in combination: resistant heaters, radiation, infrared heaters, electrical induction, air gas torch, oxy fuel appropriated torch, appropriated size, rosebud heating tip, control minimum temperature. Minimum required temperature shall be established prior to welding. The loss of the minimum required temperature shall require reheating if necessary prior to resumption welding. If minimum specified preheat temperature for the weld is 125 degrees Fahrenheit or higher during fabrication, minimum tap pass temperature drops below 120 degrees Fahrenheit. If the weld thickness is less than 50% complete, then partially completed welds should be inspected and processed with magnetic testing. Preheating to the specified minimum interpass temperature range of the resumption of the welding should be done before and after the inspection. Controlling maximum temperature. The maximum required temperature should be checked specified with the 510-422 anytime during the weld except for during the deposition of the welding paste material. The temperature is found with above the maximum preheat interpass temperatures noted in Table 13. Welded area should be allowed to cool within the required temperature prior to any subsequent welding. Post-weld heat treatment or PWHT. Post-weld heat treatment prohibited with the quenched and tempered alloy steels. Hardened with alloy steels include armor materials when allowed. Post-heating treatment shall be limited to maximum temperatures in Table 13. Heat input calculations. Heat input should be determined by A or B for the non-waveform controlled welding, or by B or C waveform control welding. All related sections AWSD 11 and D11M ASME boiler pressure vessel code section 9 should be consulted for further information and guidance. Heat input in joules per inch, voltage times amperage times 60 over travel speed in inches per minute. Heat input determined by using instantaneous entry. Heat input joules per inch equals energy joules over welded bead length in inches. And C for instantaneous power measurements, joules per second or watts. Heat input joules per inches equals power joules over seconds or watts times arc time in seconds over welded bead length in inches. For submerged metal arc welding, the deposit length per unit length of the electrode may be used for the measure and control heat input. Alternative heat input limitations. Alternative heat input limitations should be qualified with the adequate supporting document, proposed test plan. Alternative heat input limitations submitted with the technical authority for approval. Heat input limit is documented with the performance procedure qualification record. Tack welding. If tack welding is used and aid in fabrication, welding should be performed qualified welder operator. All tacks should be in conformance with the appropriate welding performance specification, preheat, interpass temperature, interpass requirement, attention to the heat input exhibited with the same quality requirements applied with the final welds. Tack welds should be sufficient to length side with the overcome stain and shoes inspected for cracks. Tack welds, and those poor quality shall be removed for unincorporated tack welds. C510-8. In all instances, the tack weld should be located in a manner that allows for the proper joint accessibility. Ensuing welding operations, avoidance of the tack welds in corner areas, stress concentration as well as using boxing techniques should be employed. They applies to both incorporated and unincorporated tack welds. Incorporated tack welds. Incorporated tack welds should be considered in the initial increments of the final weld, meet the applicable visual test acceptance criteria prior to incorporation. Welds should be properly for subsequent weld tie and additional passes. Incorporated tack welds dress blended with the minimum geometry favorable profile being incorporated with subsequent welding. Alternative conditions for remelting the tack welds, submerged arc welding. Other deep penetration heat, high energy welding processes shall be directed by the testing authority for review. Temporary welding for fabrication purposes. Temporary attachments, temporary welds, unincorporated tack welds should be the construction aid to facilitate handling, position, distortion, mitigation allowed. You should be the minimum the same of the welding performance Specification, quality, welding, workmanship requirement. The document shall apply with the temporary attachment welding. Removal of the construction material should be compatible to those of the base metal and joint being joined. Sufficient preheat, attention, heat input, avoidance for the damage of the base material advance. During the temporary welding, remove the accordance with the document. Attachment should be removed with a minimum of 1/8 of an inch away from the weld, followed by with a careful grinding, blending, smoothing, flushing to the adjacent base material surface. Attachment remove the location should be documented in the inspector report. Removal areas required to pass the visual testing, magnetic testing, inspection. After attachment removal, any subsequent allowable base material repairs considered acceptable. C 5.9 and 5.12. 5.10.9. Weld profiles. All weld profiles should meet requirements of Table 20. Painting. Weld should be free of surface material, slag, scale, rust, and defects prior to the painting. Prevent temperature entrapment of foreign materials on fused area of the weld. The weld overlap, the excessive roughness, re-entry with a bead with the contours present should be corrected. Grind prior to the painting. Painting of the last layer of the permit provided with the finished contour of the ground prior to the non-destructive testing. Removing an evidence of the painting surface. Painting should not be performed first layer with a multi-layer weld. The painting may be used to correct distortion, minimize residual stress. May be used for contour grinding purposes. Arc strikes inspection limitation should be in accordance with the Table 20 for removal of repair arc strikes. 5.12. Weaving stringer pass may be used interchangeable so long as heat input with a bead width and qualification limitations of the document are met with the essential variable ranges. Qualified welding performance specifications. See Table 5.5.4 are not validated. Note that use of the need with both stringer and bead waves in a single performance qualification record or welding qualification record. Qualification test assembly is required just the same as the practical facilitate, promote soundness and the different justice joint design, joint geometry encountered in production. See Table 18. Background roots. The joint root of full penetration joints welded from both sides shall be back gouged. Sufficient welding have done on one side before any of the welding is started. The opposite side weld the root area with the back gouge the sound material. Workmanship requirements. Welded joint separate surface penetration. All point welding. Contaminated welding should be removed with a minimum distance of 3 inches. All the direction joint to be welded with addition with a rust inhibiting coating should be covered with a requalification surface to be moved upon adjacent surface with a minimum distance ½ inch from the expected weld. Used shall be clean, dry, free of surface material with defects such as paint, except the corners with 3-inch minimum requirements stated above. Oil, grease, moisture, mill scale, oxidizing, rust, objectionable tricks, nicks, gouges, irregularities. Say base material specification of both 5.12 and 5.3.1 for depth allowable to repair. Zinc, galvanizing, thermal spray, aluminum, excessive slag, weld cleaning. Weld in-process cleaning. Any welds require multi-pass should be mechanically cleaned with a surface scale with a weld spatter with a silicone deposit weld slags before the next pass of the weld with the chemically products will leave this residual will not use with the cleaning. Other cleaning methods of the may exceed with the temperature provided with the Table 18 shall require the approval of cleaning procedure procuring contract officer. Completed welds. All weld slag flux tightly adhering weld spatter greater than 1/8 of an inch diameter silicone deposit residual shall be removed. Welds paired that cannot be removed standard cleaning method may remain unless functional with a cosmetic concern with the spatter weld would interfere with the non-destructive testing method. The combination method should be selected with the properties of the metal, the type of the contaminants, with the degree of the contamination present. Surface cleaning method with using redusting chemicals or phosphoric acid should not be used unless the test with a substantial combined chemical cleaning of phosphoric acid cleaning subsequent coating preheats with the detrimental of the seal being cleaned. Welder operator workmanship check with the prior to and during weld with the welder operators shall ensure the base metal with the free of foreign materials. This continues it would inhibit the successful of the welding. Welding joints will receive the baseline visual check by the welding operator prior to any during and after the welding prior to the involvement of the non-destructive test inspector. Any concerns observed by the welder operator shall be reported with the certified visual inspector and authority visual inspector for the visual testing inspection. Welder and welder operator does not need to be qualified welder inspector to perform quality check. Regardless of the qualification welder operator shall not have the ability to approve of the final inspection of their own work. In process hardness checks, hardness testing of the base material side with the due to suspect with the heat input limitation. C with the measurement should not exceed 5/8 of an inch of any weld toe line. The hardness shall be in accordance with the minimum the hardness value of the base material. C511, conversion of one hardness scale to another scale should incorporate the ASTM E140 for hardness test of the performance surface to be inspected should be prepared in accordance with 5752 joint fit up inspection. Inspection should be in accordance with the proof of the configurations, include with the proof of the welding procedure, weld of the fit up and extra tolerance, except for the limitation of proof of the joint die and correctional build up welding may be employed with limitations of 51262 for fillet weld joints when the fit up gap exceeds 1/16 of an inch as a nominal condition along with the joint and fillet weld size should be increased by an amount equal to exceeding above the 1/16 of an inch from the gap between the members of the exceed 3/16 of an inch of the nominal condition along with the joint with the condition correct with the weld to build up in accordance with the 51262. Documented joint shall prepare with the full penetration of the weld build-up should not be performed on an armor material. Distortion control. All efforts mitigation restoration shall be made on all weldments. Some general practice to mitigate the distortion as follows. Alternative weld that pass about the neutral axis to keep the balance of the weld deposit each side of the weld. Give the back step sequence, overall weld plan, weld pass sequence, depositation weld of the middle weld joint, working towards the edge of the workpiece. Weld starts should be removed and blended to avoid discontinuities. Use to optimize welding parameters, large filler material diameters, faster travel speeds. Give the preheat the temperature listed in the table 18 potential increase for the preheat temperature limitation, slow rating. Conversely, heating seeking may be need to be employed as well. Use properly sized welded beads application and effort to avoid both excessively large sized beads, too few passes, excessively small beads, too many welded passes. Use the restraint with the V with the stronghold fixture construction aids, wedges, clips, and clamps to brace on the weldment. All weldment to cool ambient temperature prior to the removal of the apparatus. Pre-bend, preset. Weld the joint by anticipated distortion, limited to over welding by way of best practice weld joint design, weld supervision, weld training. Use sub-assembly back-to-back methods and straightening practices before further assembly. Account for both aiding material stock and component details, root openings to serve overall dimensional tolerance to shrinkage concerns. Alright, 512 repairs requirement. The standard is not intended to specify requirements of individual systems before repairing components can be accomplished. The base material should be prepared in accordance with 511.1. Repairs of 5/8 of an inch or greater than the weld toe shall be considered the outside of the weld zone with consider the base material of the repairs. With all material of the fabricated out of the tolerance shall be prepared and all tolerance requirements are met. All repairs shall be inspected and applicable to non-destructive testing. Process specified welded class. See table 21. Inspection repairs should be held with the same requirements to hold prior to the examination of all other welds. Repair procedures. Welding repair procedures, or WRP, should be developed with the form in accordance with the document. All welding repair procedures should utilize the welding performance specification developed and qualified in accordance with the document. Continue with the wish, give the priority. Repair procedure shall deliver the procedure approved with the procuring contract officer upon request. Several technical bulletin, technical manuals, applicable military standards, military specifications may not be used unless specifically approved by procuring contract officer. The repair procedure delivered to the procuring contract officer for approval upon request after the repair procedure is completed. Fabricated material shall meet with the requirements listed with the document, applicable contract standards and drawing. Repair cycles. Repair cycles should refer to the noted of the inspection or the repair reports. R1, one repair performed. R2, two repairs performed or more if needed. Minor repairs undercut, overlap, visual bends shall not consider the previous context for the major defects, incomplete fusion cracks, other defects that have failed. Volumetric non-destructive testing requires significant excavation. Rewelding shall need with the documentation. Government reserve the right to review any of the MRB process procedure documentation. MRB disposition should be required with any of the following conditions except when more than two weld repairs attempts have been performed in the same location with armor and high strength steel. When more than three weld repairs attempts have been performed on the same material not listed in A. When the wrong filler metal has been used. When the repair weld required for the weld has been post-heat treated, the repair weld is required, final machining has been completed. When the repair extends out the original weld zone, fusion zone, or heat affected zone. When the weldment has been direct age only with the intermediate solution heat treatment unless authorized by the procuring contract officer. When weldment has been made with the parameters outside of the qualified welding performance specification range. All repairs effective plug welds Weld repairs following proof or leak test. Any holes repairs armor material holes outside of the allowance. Weld buildup of any of an armor material outside of the allowance. Mill defects. Defects excessive that permitted by the applicable base material specification documentation are repaired by grinding maximum extent possible, provided the thickness is reduced below with allowed with the base material specification acquisition document. Discontinue the defect result of the poor mill process repairs of the armor base material made in accordance with Mill A 11.356, Mill DTL 12560, Mill DTL 46100, Mill DTL 46186, Mill DTL 32332. Repair armor base material. The authorized repairs of the armor base material qualified welding performance specification in accordance with 5371. Detailed repair procedure proposal. The repair procedure proposal shall state with the minimum extent of the repair location, depth side of the impacts will have the mechanical ballistic property with any of the required qualification documentation achieved sound repair, including volumetric inspection plan. If the procedure has not been developed in accordance with 5371, armor base repairs shall be permitted with Mill DTL 12560 and Mill DTL 46100. Arc strike fabrication scars, etc., less than 16th of an inch with the repair are limited to the 10th of a percent surface area. Only area of the base material thickness greater than 1 inch of the armor base material repairs for Mill DTL 46186 and Mill DTL 32332 shall require that the prior specific review of the technical authority approval and procuring contract office for each repair. All welding repairs Mill A 11.356 materials should qualify performing in accordance with requirements 5371. Repairs of the non-armored base materials. Authorized repair of the non-armored base material with the required with a qualified welding performance specification in accordance with 5372 with the base material standard included with the impact toughness requirement. Filler material shall meet with the impact toughness requirement of the base material. Under matching filler metal material is prohibited. Repair thickness shall be limited to qualified welding performance specification. Arc strikes, nicks, gouges, other fabrication scars. Arc strikes, nicks, gouges, other fabrication scars, including 132 for the inch for the deck without repair. Arc stick, nick, strikes, nick, gouges, other fabrication scars, excess of 1/32 of an inch by within limitation listed below will blend smoothly with the base material should be repaired with a mechanical means. Arc strike, nick, gouges, other fabrication scars, excess of the below listed limited to should be repaired by welding. Final repaired surface will be blended smoothly into with the base materials, not interfere with the clearance. Base material thickness maximum allowable depth in inches less than 1/2 inch, 1/32 of an inch, 1/2 inch and greater, 1/16 of an inch. Well, building around the welded joint not exceeding with a total of 1/2 thickness of the thinner member of the 1 or 1.5 inches, whichever is less. Filler material should not exceed the base of the material specified minimum tensile strength with the build-up shall be considered part of the involved the weld with the inspect with the corner specified classification. Welding repair holes. Holes cutting in the roof of the member may be welded with the provided original hole diameter does not exceed 2.5 inches. Holes less than a 1/2 inch and the diameter shall be open to 1/2 inch minimum diameter, except with the hole of the member to 1/4 inch thickness. For less than need only to be open on the diameter. Equal thickness of the thickness of the member of the hole diameter equals thickness of the hole with its bevel with a 20 degrees minimum angle should be ensure that the removal of all internal threads were present. Holes greater than 2.5 inches original diameter should be reported with the procuring contract office of the disposition. Partial penetration hole. The partial penetration shall have within 3/16 of an inch minimum material remaining prior to the welding should be drilled through with the prepared full penetration repair shown in figure 17. Full penetration holes. Penetration holes repaired with using 3/16 for the minimum backplate compatibility material approved with a non-metallic material with a permanent backing U with the repair holes when approved. Procuring contractor office prior to use. Welding material removal. When defect welding material is discovered during the inspection test for the defect should be removed the material, remove the thermal profit, the dross for the continuing cutting residue, hardened layer of the cut surface, remove the grinding of the cut surface will be ground with about 1/16 of an inch to remove the hardened layer of the temperature during the excavation should not exceed the minimum interpass temperature according to the table 13. Welded metal containing the defect should be completely removed the prepared with the groove and angle in accordance with the applicable welding performance specification at 40-degree minimum. End of the weld material joint should be tapered approximately 45-degree slope. The easy entry, re-entry with the prepared repair excavation length shall be the original defect length plus 4 four times the thickness, whether the thickness is repaired depth, thickness. Welded material shall be removed in a manner to leave the 5/16 of an inch round root opening or joint width. The depth of the remove of the weld shall be with the depth of the defect plus an additional eighth of an inch. Once a welded metal has been removed, the visual inspection of the approved non-destructive testing shall be performed in the repaired and area to ensure the entire defect has been removed. No additional discontinuities have been discovered during welding metal removal of the excavated area of the welded in accordance with the requirements of the document. Excessive the reinforcement convexity may be removed by guiding to conform profile requirements C510-9 without re-welding. Welding repair excavation preparation. Welding repairs shall be considered the produced excavation fully visible with the welder allows accessibility of the electrode surface to be welded. The gouge area configuration shall have sidewall sloping without sharp bends prior to resuming the welding inspection. Remove of the excavated repair performed appropriate non-destructive testing. Crack repair, crack identification, certified non-destructive testing personnel will evaluate crack identification, relevant, non-relevant determination, appropriate non-destructive testing method, identify the beginning, ending, location, relevant crack, C5-12-1, cracks beyond the extent of the weld zone, which are greater than 5/8 of an inch beyond the weld toe line, crack arresting holes, crack arresting should be partially penetration, crack determined, certified with a non-destructive test personnel, welding engineer, arresting holes shall be drilled within 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch past which each end of the crack should be approximately 1/1600 to 3/8 of an inch in diameter. The hole should be repaired accordance with the 5-12-6-3, 12-5-12-8-3 crack removal. Grinding other mechanical methods shall be removed of the crack performed in accordance with 5-12-7. The material temperature should be monitored during the crack removal shall not exceed the maximum interpass temperature according to the table 13. Crack starting at 5/8 of an inch of the weld toe line or welded zone. Crack repair should be excavated at the end of the crack cords to the welded metal in accordance with the 5-12-7. Cracks starting outside 5/8 of an inch shall be considered base material repairs 5-12-5 and 12-5-6. Crack type. There are three types of cracks: partial penetration, full penetration accessible on both sides, full penetration accessible on one side. Partial penetration crack removal. Crack arresting should be used. Partial penetrating cracks determined by certified non-destructive testing personnel, welding engineer, following with the recommended practice. Excavating crack to the same angle of the root opening tolerance for the lab with welding performance specification tapered, 45-degree tapered in, not to exceed 2/3 of the material thickness during the excavation. Thickness exceed 5-12-8-3-3. Excavation should include a drilled hole. There should be 5/16 of an inch root opening in the base of the excavated area. Examination excavation site original approved with the non-destructive testing shall be used to ensure that the crack is completely removed. If no non-destructive test is originally used for the weldment authorized level 3 non-destructive test, inspector weld engineer shall make the decision of the method to apply. If excavation reaches 1/3 of the material thickness, shall be repaired with a partial joint preparation, crack joint repair joint. Alright, welded, excavated area in accordance with the material, with the requirements of the document, with the run-off, the run-on tabs, remove of the back material, and encourage. The required crack should be in accordance with the original approved of the non-destructive testing method the whole time of the non-destructive testing. Originally, you with the weldment, with the authorized with the level 3, the non-destructive testing inspector, welded engineer shall make the decision of the method to apply. Full penetration crack removal accessible both sides. You with the crack arresting process defined and described in 5-12-8-2 with the top propagation of the crack. The following is recommended practice. Start on one side of the crack repair with the file of the process. Partial penetration crack removal with 5-12-8-3-2 steps A, B, and D. Depths of the excavation shall be greater than half the thickness of the plate with the repair. Once the weld is of the side one is completed, inspect the excavation side with the further original approved of the non-destructive testing. Original non-destructive testing should be used to ensure the crack is completely removed with the non-destructive. If there's no non-destructive testing method originally used with the welding, with the authorized welding engineer should make the decision of the method to apply with the partial testing inspection process shall not be within the time of the depth of the excavation sound while the base material shall be approximately greater than half the thickness of the plate being repaired, verifying with a non-destructive testing examination. Once welding has completed on side 2, the final inspection is performed with the repair, the crack, inspect the corner for the original, approve the non-destructive test method, and the whole time. If no non-destructive testing was originally used with the weldment, if the authorized welding engineer authorized level 3 non-destructive testing shall make the decision of the method to apply. full penetration crack removal accessible on one side. For materials of any thickness accessible from one side, all repairs should according to the applicable technical bulletin, technical contract scope of the work repair procedure approved by procuring contract over the recommended practice field repairs. Reprocess of the non-conforming material in accordance with the proof of the written repair procedure, operation, address of the non-conformity, and theory for the purpose of field repair for the of the functionality of an item being prepared for the need for the basis. Field repairs distinguished over the other repairs of an item. Other field repairs temporarily execute the completed conforming applicable drawing specification contract. Requirement system is brought back into full conformity once repair of it reaches the facility with the capable of performing complete repair of this type of the repair should not be with manufacturing new vehicles. Repairs a facility capable of performing complete repair. Record retention. Repair record retention shall be in the documentation prepared prior to use of the pertinent repair locations, repair process, inspection results after the repairs for the data need to deliver the documentation procuring contractor problem on the request shall be retained for the life of the system. 6 notes. This section contains information general exploratory in nature that may be helpful if it's not mandatory intended use. Armor welding covered over the document intended for the military use and non-government over the document authorized acquisition requirement. A list of information provided below should be used. A minimum contract acquisition procurement information should be evaluated to determine the requirements should be base contract performance specifications or delivered to the government through a contract data requirement list of CDRL, equivalent to time and the number of the day with the standard of the qualification records, previous qualification records, Military Standard 3040, previous qualification, other standard of additional welding processes, armor base material not listed, qualification specification, welding mill DTL 3233-2 materials, procedure qualification records, welding procedure specification, welder procedure specification revision, previous welder operator qualifications, requirement of defective testing or welds, use of the non-destructive testing qualification not listed, all electromagnetic testing ET, and use of the non-destructive testing method not listed. Use of any in-process cleaning method, use of proprietary repair procedures, standard unit of measure for the standard makes the use of both U.S. customary units and international system units, and so for the standard the user will find the dimension U.S. customary units followed by the international system of the units in parentheses. The appropriate columns, table figures, international system units are used to estimated value of the U.S. customary units. Subject term key word listing, electrode filler, metal, high strength steel with non-constructive test, procedure qualification record, radiograph, ultrasonic welder, weld operator, weld procedure, welding procedure specification, welder qualification. 6.5. Changes from previous issue. Marginal notations are not used in this provision. Identify change with respect to the previous issue due to the extent of the changes. Alright, table 1. And that completes the reading for Military Department of Defense manufacturing process, steering qualification, fabrication, welding, inspection, armor, and non-armor steel weldments.